How are you, Kat? All right, let me present my entire screen. So if you just joined, I'm going to show you how to change the translation.
Hi, Kat.
Let me hit admit, and you're going to probably see people popping up. I'll admit people as they join. All right, so to turn on the translation in the language that you want, you first have to come down here and turn on the closed captions. And then right-click on the closed captions. And mine's already up. If yours isn't, select Translate to English, or just pick this Translate button. So you have to right-click. And then it'll pop up at the top of your screen up here. And if I select this little guy up here, I can hit these down, the three dots, and choose another language. So I can choose whichever language I'm most comfortable in. And so if I chose Dutch and I select Translate, it will translate everything to Dutch, including the chat. So because we want everyone to feel comfortable in here, I'm going to keep mine on in English, and that way you can speak in your native language or the language you're most comfortable in, and it will translate to English for us. So I'm going to switch mine back over to choose another language, and I'm going to go back to English because I unfortunately don't speak any other languages. And it translates in real time. How cool is that? So I recommend turning your chat on, or your closed captions on, and then again, right-click, translate, come up to the top, hit the three dots, and choose your language. All right, I'm going to stop that presenting. I know technology is amazing. It doesn't translate to the language of technology. That would be so cool.
Hey, Abid, welcome. Hi, Alex, Stacy, Teresa. Nice to see you all. So, Amanda, shall we wait for our second special guest, or shall we start and she'll pop in a bit?
Jenny's here. Hi, Jenny.
Yes.
Oh, she just was here. Oh, then I lost her. But she was just here.
She'll be back, I guess.
Yes.
Sorry, I went to go unmute and then I hit the hang up button instead. I know just a second ago everyone said technology is great, and then I messed it all up.
Hey, Jenny.
Hi.
There she is. I was looking for her in the grid. I was like, where is she? Where is she? Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
Welcome. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and get started then. And welcome to our Google EC Open Chat book study. So very exciting today as we have special guests who have already said hello. Yeah, we talked a little bit about before. Some of them are going to stay for the whole session. Feel free to pop in and out as you need to. And we had a short book study scheduled for today, and then everybody had the chance to add questions to the open chat slides to ask our wonderful guests. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the amazing author. I need like a virtual like drum roll, right? I should have thought about that before. Woohoo! Okay, good. So the lovely author of this book, Courageous Adventures, Jenny McGarrett. Welcome.
And I love it. You said no one says my last name right. So 10 points for Gryffindor. Good job.
I'm so excited. We are so stoked. And look how many people joined just so that they could meet you in person, Jenny. Your book is phenomenal. It is changing the whole world. And so we are so grateful to have your expertise. And please feel free to introduce yourself. We obviously introduced you for you, but we'd love to hear from you where you're at now, how you're excited, and what's going on in the lovely world of Google EC and Google EDU.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good to meet everyone. Thank you so much for signing on to be Google for Education certified coaches and reading my book. I'm so excited to meet everyone here. And yeah, where should I start? And I guess I'll just follow your lead how we should begin.
Yeah, no, that's cool. We'll go through the slides and you guys are up really soon. I just wanted to give you the floor because you are our special honored guest, as well as your colleague, Amanda. Amanda, we're super honored to have you here with us today. Guys, Amanda is actually the program owner for the Google Certified Coach Program. And so I will let her introduce herself. She is amazing.
Hi, everyone. So nice to meet you. This is the best call I'm going to have all day. So thank you for making my day. As Georgina mentioned, I have the great pleasure of getting to lead our certified coach program on behalf of Google for Education, which means roping Jenny in to help with lots of things and also getting to work with all of you guys. And I've been working really closely with Becky and Georgina and Victoria and Jared and others because I was just so excited to see that when we announced the program, all the chat on social, and that you all got this group together. Our greatest hope in the program was really that we would be able to equip coaches like yourselves with additional tools and resources to really do what you're doing better and with some Google love. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to get to shower you with that love today. And that's it. Now I'm just gonna lurk and be excited back here.
Well, we will be looping back to ask you guys a whole bunch of questions that the audience has prepared for you. So thank you very much. I'll go ahead and share my screen then. So thanks again for joining and welcome to everybody else who is coming into the call. And so this week we decided just to do one chapter. Normally we cover 2 chapters of book studies together. And for those of you who are joining in for the first time, this is a slow book study chat. And so there are questions posted and then you have this week it was just a few days because we were really busy with back to school, but normally, and we have the next chapter actually ready to go today, you'll have 2 weeks to answer questions. So it's just one chapter today with lots of time to chat with Jenny, the author of this wonderful book, and Amanda. And also wanted to give a shout out to Shannon. Where is Shannon? There is Shannon. Shannon Moore in my diagonal down. There we go. Shannon, do you want to say hi and where you're from? Shannon has joined this team. Welcome.
Hi guys, Shannon Moore from Visalia, California. So I'm an English / speech teacher, and I also am a part-time tech coach for this year for the first time. So trying to figure out how to balance those two, but really, really happy to join the Google EC team, and it's going to be a good time. I'm excited.
You got lots of love in the chat. Everybody knows Shannon. She's super thorough and shares so much, and she lifts people up, and she's just such an inspiring person, and we're so happy to have her on the team, and I am so happy to have her wonderful help in the book study. So we took feedback from the last book study that some people were not able to join this time zone, and you've all been so lovely to wake up early on your side of the world, or for those joining on this side. So Shannon has very kindly offered to do 1 week out of the month in a time zone that meets other people's needs so that we can be even more inclusive for everybody. So thank you to Shannon. Virtual round of applause for Shannon. So we will poll in the EC open chat. Becky will drop a poll later after the session or tomorrow, and then you guys can vote on a time that works for all of you. And Shannon will be very happy to facilitate one. So we're doing the book study every 2 weeks, and Shannon will facilitate one, and then I'll facilitate the other one at this time on the Wednesday. Awesome. So feel free to drop any questions in the chat if you have any, and let's move on. All right. So if this is your first time at book study, you can watch a video which seems to have moved itself again. So we'll re-embed it there to walk you through how this book study works. And today we are digging into differentiation. And you can basically chat and add to the slides as you go. What's really awesome is that if you weren't able to participate ahead of time or during this book study, then you can still happily add to it, and we welcome that later on. It is an ongoing slow book chat, so it gives everybody a chance to join. Okay, so really, really exciting. We actually, Jenny, we covered my personal first favorite chapter of your book, Failing Forward, which was last week. And so we wanted to review if anybody had an opportunity to jump into a fail fest and share. So we always start the book study with a little share and reflection. So this is what everybody has shared so far. Would anybody in the chat like to share what they have written out loud for everybody, or if anyone has had a chance to read through those and add on to it, please feel free. Everybody's shy because you're here now, Jenny. See?
Hey, I'll be glad to share mine. I just had written, I'm Sharon Mom, I'm from Mountain Brook, Alabama, and I had to do some training earlier this year, and I had put on this, and I had all this on, and had recorded my training. And when I went back, ended up sending off my training to a couple of people that couldn't be there. And when I went back to listen to it, which I should have done before I sent it off, I sounded like I was in a garbage can. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible sound. And so I was very embarrassed about it all. But so my fail fast was not listening to my video before I did it. But don't try to record yourself live when you're in COVID land. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I think I saw some smiles in the grid view. And so I think you're not alone, Sharon. I think that's happened to some others. Would anyone else like to add on to that?
I'd like to add on. I didn't get to write ahead of time, so that was kind of my fail. I was like catching up and like reading the book before this meeting because I was so excited. But in terms of something a little more specific, I've been doing a lot of training with Zoom, and I was experimenting with the recording settings with Zoom and how they worked. And while I was doing so, instead of like being proactive and thinking like, oh, what do I want to send out to the teachers? I kind of did these muttering videos of like, oh, okay, this is how this works. This is how that works. And like, oh no, I don't want to hear this. So I had to go back and redo my sample videos. Thankfully though, I didn't send it out yet, but you know, just realizing that, oh, sometimes the first time you try something, you might have to try it again so that when you share it with others, it's a little clearer.
I have one, and I'm similar boat. Like I couldn't get it on the slide, but I have increasingly been asked to do things on behalf of the district. Like I'm both similar to Shannon. I'm both in the classroom part-time and coaching part-time. And so sometimes I think that they want something coming from a coach who is also a teacher perspective, so that maybe when the video goes out, it gets less of a visceral reaction from staff when they're asked to do something that might be like a state mandate. And so I was asked this week to make a video, I'm in California, on the new attendance procedures and requirements that are being asked of everybody, and how to balance both doing that along with your teaching virtually. And so I created a video, but thank goodness, like there was a moment where luckily, so maybe it's not a complete fail, I sent it to a few people and I asked for some feedback on it. And thank goodness they noticed that I hadn't like put in the caveat of like, I didn't make these rules. So I ended up getting to catch that fail. And I went back and I added that at the start, right? Like if you're watching this and this is helpful for you and you have tech questions, come to me. If you have other questions, go see your site administrator, because I didn't make these rules, right? Like I was able to actually do that. So that was super helpful. And I'm learning, I think one of my areas of growth is learning to actually put people in the direction with whom they need to speak to, and not taking on all the onus on myself, because oftentimes I'll try to fix all these problems and try to help people through things that I'm like, that's not actually part of my job. And like starting to be okay with that and letting go of the pieces that aren't mine. Because oftentimes I'll spend a lot of time with things that aren't mine. So just learning that and navigating that.
I love that. Go ahead.
Mine's very quick, but Steph, yours reminded me of this. So I'm the district instructional coach. So I oversee 10 sites, and I I'm going to call this a fail forward. I gave my phone number out to many teachers without any norms around utilizing my phone number. And so as simple as that seems, and as much as we think that you can give your phone number out to any teacher, that they're not going to call you at 5:30 a.m. or 12:30 a.m. because it's an emergency, their Bitmoji won't work. They do. And so my fail forward is now I have to put norms around when you can text me and when you can call me. And so, yes, I had that fun fail forward this year of don't give your number out to everybody without expectations around your phone number. That's your sacred time.
It's so important. And we think about too, like supporting all of the communities, right? Not just teachers, like our parent community. I know that was one thing for myself as well. Yeah, here's my email address. And remember to let them know that you don't work after like 5 or 6 p.m. at night. So it's that kind of thing. I totally agree, Becky. And thanks also for sharing, Stephanie and Sharon as well. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's, would anybody else like to share before I move on? Any other fail forwards? I would definitely recommend reading through those if you are joining in after or participating after the slow chat. It's always often inspiring to know that you're not alone and that everybody is on this big learning journey together. And it is just so inspiring to be part of that. And so definitely have a glance through those. Would anybody else like to share before we move on? All right, I try and hold out just a few extra seconds. That's my big learning for the last 2 weeks. Actually, May, shout out to May, taught me that. She was like, I always just wait, 20 good seconds before I move on to the next question. So I'm trying to learn from her lead as well. Okay.
It's not education related, but I sprained my ankle again for like the 6th time in a year. Just pavements and broken pavements and my right ankle just don't go well together.
You just sprained it now, Abid, like this week?
Well, I first sprained it at London 19 on graduation as I got onto the stage. And that was the first time I sprained it last July 2019. And then I've developed a knack for finding broken pavements where I live around East London. Just walking, I fell into a pothole in school. I fell into a pothole 2 weeks ago. I was going to Starbucks last week and tripped over in a broken pavement. So I think it's about the 6th or 7th time in the space of 13 months that I've sprained the very same ankle. I blame it all on the Google Certified Innovator Academy, because that's where it first started.
I'm laughing at the last piece, but it's really not funny. I'm really sorry, Abid. Just so you know, you're not alone though. My little sister, or my middle sister, I should say, she broke her left hip in the same place 3 times before, before she became a teenager. So I don't know, maybe the body's saying like it's a weaker area, so it goes to that ankle, but I'm really sorry. It's not pleasant.
Oh, so I like I said, I laugh at it more than I wince at the pain now. And like I said, that's my story. Spraining my ankle live during my innovator graduation. That's the I like to call it the greatest injury in Google Certified Innovator history. Yeah.
I like that. That's a positive twist on it. An exciting twist, I guess you could say. I hope you heal soon, Abid. Sorry for that. Stephanie says embracing it. Yes, I love that. Agreed. Okay, so let's move on to our guest showcase. Thanks again to Becky and Shannon for this wonderful slides, and obviously the 2 guests for those beautiful photographs. And we are so excited to hear from your expertise and talk about all things Google EC. So what I thought we could do, if that's okay, is literally go through each question because we really want to make sure we cover everything. And of course, Amanda and Jenny, at your discretion, what you're able to answer and not. So the floor is totally yours. The first question is, how would you navigate the challenge of educators who need to get coaching but struggle with self-deprecating tendencies and consequently tend to ice you out when the first challenge arises? And if this is your question, because they're anonymous, please feel free to unmute if you'd like to elaborate or let the ladies know more. Okay.
This is the struggle is real. This happened to me all the time. I guess I realized I didn't really introduce myself. I was just like, yeah, I'm stoked to be here. But like quick, in a nutshell, I'm in the end of my second decade of career of education. Started off as a classroom teacher for over a decade, building leader, instructional coach, assistant superintendent, did some work at the federal U.S. Department of Ed level, taught higher ed, and got to work with an organization that did education technology support across the world. And now at Google, I'm the global head of education impact, which means I get to work with cool people like Amanda all day and think about how we can really intensify the impact that we're having for educators, students, communities through the work that we do every day. And the lens that I bring to it is, that almost 20 years of being in schools and working in systems of education worldwide. And so one of the things that hit me back when I first thought of this book was I had been an instructional coach in Chicago public schools at that point for 3 years. And I was the only instructional coach for 32 schools in Chicago public schools. So my network had 32 schools. K through 12, so both K-8s and high schools. Actually, some of ours had infant toddler centers. So the teachers I worked with taught anywhere from 3-month-olds to 19-year-olds, 18 or 19-year-olds. And I was driving my little Hyundai up and down Chicago traffic to get to sometimes 6 buildings a day. And my caseload of educators was just super intense. And I constantly felt like I wasn't getting anything done. I wasn't successful. And so I had to come up with all these strategies to make sure I was using all of my tools to be as impactful as possible. And I had docs and docs and docs of all these things. And I started sharing them with other folks I was supporting. And I realized, this could be a book. And then I gave a TED talk about it and someone saw it, Corwin saw it, and they're like, when you write a book. So this book it was built out of my notes of being an instructional coach and then supporting other instructional coaches when I became a district administrator. And one of my number one problems was being iced. And it was especially challenging when I hadn't eaten. I'd been up since 4 a.m. and I was on my 3rd building of the day, fighting Chicago traffic, on coaching calls on my cell phone, while trying to find a parking spot. And then I'm all out of breath, sweaty, haven't eaten all day, haven't used the bathroom all day, and I'm going to meet with a teacher and they don't show up. And then when I have a conversation with them, it's very antagonistic. It's you're making me meet with you. I have so many other things to do. And in my mind, I was, fighting the laws of space and time to get to them because I thought I was there to help them. And some things I figured out along the way was one, that empathy. And that's what the first part of the book is about, where, as coaches, we're coming in to be we know the support that we have for the teachers and we know what we think we're bringing to the table. But putting ourselves back in the shoes of that hairy teacher and understanding that safety, as you mentioned, whoever wrote this, about that self-deprecating tendency that a teacher might have or what's on their plate, that even though we think we're there to help them and we're there to clear their plate, we might actually feel like a burden to them. And instead of fighting that, really sitting with that and understanding how we fit into the scope of the teacher's day, because everything I just narrated was about myself. It was centering myself. It was centering my fight to traffic, my sweating, my inability to go to the bathroom or eat lunch. It wasn't really thinking about what had happened to that teacher that day, that maybe they'd been ghosted by a parent they'd been trying to meet for the past 6 months, that they had a child they'd been trying to reach for the entire year have a breakdown that day, that maybe they've been, peed on or thrown up on, like so many things could have happened in that teacher's day to the point where they ghosted me that have nothing to do with me and aren't really about me. And if I'm truly there to serve the teacher, then I need to be there for them. And so when I have a teacher who's like, and it's not just a self-deprecating tendency, there's so many emotional and psychological things that come into why a teacher ghosts you that are not about you. They're not about like, I don't want to meet with Jenny. It's about like, I have all these other things to deal with, and I don't have 20, 30, 45 minutes to sit down with someone and talk about my practice, which is really sad, right? Like, it should be a gift that they have. I would love to have 45 minutes a day just to think about like, how could I be a better Googler? So what I've tried to do in that, in the Grape Jam, in that work, is just really make sure the teacher understands that I am centering their needs. And the purpose of that first cycle in the Certified Coach program is about building that trust and helping them break the schema that everyone in a teacher's life is trying to take from them, or like want something from them, not even take, but need something from them. And as the coach, you're perhaps the only person in the teacher's life who is truly there to give and give and give and not take anything in return, which I'm sure all of you have been teachers or are teachers. That's not the case for you, right? Like even your principal wants something from you. Parents want something from you. Your students want something from you. If you're lucky to have your own little people in your home, they want something from you. But the coach is the first person who's like, I'm here to just give. And so that first cycle is about building the trust. And sometimes that means what you're there to give them isn't something that seems innately related to their professional growth at that time. It's about just building the trust so that you can get to that professional growth. So I've done things like make photocopies for teachers. I'm like, hey, I saw that you weren't able to make it on Tuesday. I get it. We have another hour next Tuesday. If you're really stressed, how about I use that time to do something to take something off of your plate? And so they might be like, no, like I'm so busy. I'm like, well, what are you going to be doing? If we're not going to meet, what are you going to be doing? They're like, I'm going to be preparing for my literature circles. I'm going to be grading papers. Great. Let's sit together. I'll side by side grade exit tickets with you. And then let's have a conversation about how your kids are doing. I'll give me half the stack of your math study links homework and I'll mark those. Make me your student teacher for the day and then we can have a conversation. Oh, I need to make photocopies for the math centers. Great. Where's your photocopy room? What's your PIN code? I'll do it. And I'm not saying give your own money, but I've seen coaches do things like bring coffee for their teachers. If you like, that's a line that you're not financially able to cross. That's not expected of you, but like anything that you're able to do, you'd be surprised. And what that did for me was with these 32 schools, I was making these relationship breakthroughs with teachers I was seeing once or twice a month. And after that one day of grading shoulder to shoulder exit tickets with a teacher, the next time they were like, hey, Jenny, thank you so much. Okay, I made time this week. Let's talk. And then we got into like, let's talk about formative assessment. Like, I got to see your students work, or like, I was making photocopies for you last week and I saw the math centers that you were working on. I think it was really dope what you were trying to do. Can we talk about that activity? Or, I brought you that coffee and, when I was in your room, I saw like all these great anchor charts and I noticed that you're really making beautiful anchor charts. Like, how can we make that process a little bit easier for you? Because I can see the time you're investing year over year to recreate those. Let's digitize those. So next year, you're not recreating these beautiful anchor charts. We can have them digitally ready to pop in your Google Classroom. So like what you're also doing is you're like Sherlock Holmesing them in that way of building the relationship. You're kind of getting a window into their world that otherwise you're not seeing because you're too busy being iced out. So I know I took a long time of space there, but I wanted to kind of set that up because it's foundational for everything else that I think is important for us as this identity of coach.
Jenny, you have so much love in the chat, as I'm sure you can already imagine. So thank you for sharing, and please feel free to take the time. This is your and Amanda's time to share, and everybody is just so excited about listening to your advice. So thank you, and please continue. I just wanted to give a space for whoever's added that question in case they'd like to add or respond to Jenny. Please feel free. If you'd like to stay anonymous, that's totally okay as well.
It was my question. Thank you so much. It was really good insight. So, this is all new for me, and we're all kind of balance is what we do. I learned this morning from Teresa. And so I think it's really good because it's a shift at my site. That idea of like coming in and coaching. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about that idea of like everybody wants. And so once in a while, it's important to like step outside of ourselves, understand and embrace the empathy that exists there in that space. And, give back just a little bit, even in small ways, in those relationships, will grow. I think oftentimes we know as teachers, like we build relationships with our kids in an effort to, establish that trust and, get them to be motivated and do what we ask them to do. And I think the same is true for adults, but we forget that sometimes because they're adults. So we expect that they already are, on it. But yeah, so thank you very much for sharing your heart. I think it really did answer my question. I appreciate it.
Yay. Okay, awesome. So question number 2 is, what is the best way to meet teachers where they are, but help them find the courage to take on an adventure? Lovely question.
So I would say similarly, like trust is key, right? So let's skip ahead. Let's say you did that. You're at a point now where the teacher's like, oh my gosh, I love you. And then that's a beautiful thing where they're like, you're my safe space. Like, I feel like as a coach, as with a teacher, you feel like you've made it when you have that relationship with the kid, or you've like, cracked through that hard exterior shell of that one child you've been really challenging to reach. As a coach, when like, I feel like I'm the safe space for a teacher, I'm like, all right, I've made it. Not even if they made progress yet, just like they feel safe with me. So when you've established that safe space relationship with your teachers, or teacher in this case, knowing that an adventure is a differentiated grain size just for any teacher. So sort of like you're working with a learner, and you're a high school math teacher, and you have a student who's still working with basic arithmetic and like really struggling. They can't figure out algebra yet because their operational understanding is super low, or their reading is so low. You have to like take them back to 3rd grade level, and you're a 9th grade teacher. So just as teachers of children, we modulate our approach and understand that every child needs a different grain size and progress is different for every child. Same for adults. So an adventure can be, and I'm a nerd, I think you saw it from my book, like I use Lord of the Rings metaphors, but it could be like going, on an adventure to Mount Doom, and like it's like this very big grandiose thing, or it could be going to the mailbox is an adventure for some people. So as we think about each teacher, you might have that teacher who's like, I'm going to do project-based learning, and I'm going to do rubric, I'm going to gamify my classroom and get rid of letter grades and do badges and like make a maker space in my library and tra-la-la, and they're going to like keynote ISTE next year. And you're like, oh my God, yes, let's do it. And then you have another teacher who's like, so I have a cart of Chromebooks that I've never opened. They are collecting dust, and like I have cold sweats thinking about the fact that they're in my closet right now. And for them, the adventure might be, today, we're going to have your students read an article on the internet. And like, that's gonna like put that teacher into like deep levels of anxiety to be like, wait, my kids are gonna turn on the computer and go to the internet and read text on a screen? No. And we're in hybrid distance learning land for a lot of schools. Some schools are back in 3D, but a lot of our schools are in hybrid distance learning. And I have seen teachers resisting it to this day. Like they can't see their kids in 3D, and they're like, I'm gonna mail my kids a packet of papers every day and going to my school and like photocopying them, putting in manila envelopes. I have a friend who is a personal friend of mine who drives her car around to her 32 students' houses and puts manila envelopes of worksheets in their mailboxes every day because not because there's of the digital divide, her kids all have devices. She refuses to use a device. And so just understanding that every teacher's adventure is a different place and celebrating that growth. So for my friend who is a childhood friend who I love dearly, and I think she's a great human being, if I could just get her to like give one News ELA or Newsella article to her children, just one, I'd be like, gold medal. Like I'm gonna like Postmates you a bottle of wine. I'm so proud of you, my friend. Good job. And like own that just as if another person had just like went full project-based learning, because both of them to each of those teachers was a Herculean effort.
Oh my gosh,
I
Jenny,
got
I love that
goosebumps. I don't
story.
know about anyone else. Sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I was going to echo the goosebumps, Regina. I said, oh my gosh, Jenny, I love that story. Jenny is an excellent storyteller, as you guys probably already know before you heard her speak, since you've read her stuff. I love that. And another piece of advice that Jenny and others have shared as we've been working with the coaches was also to like celebrate that. Because I think what we've seen, especially in the couple years that we've been doing the program, is the stories that tend to get the most celebrated are like the project-based learning, makerspace teachers. And if you're not that teacher, that's really intimidating. So just finding those ways to celebrate, you know, the I am no longer mailing manila envelopes every single day type of wins, I think has also been something that's helped us to really build relationships with those teachers that are not, maybe could be the makerspace people, but are not right now.
I want to jump in and say thank you for saying that, like both of you, because honestly, we do tend to intimidate some teachers by constantly just celebrating those ISTE keynote speakers. We constantly celebrate that. And then we have our other teachers who become quickly intimidated and they're like, if that's what coaching is, I'm not ready. Like, honestly, I don't know how to turn on a meet. So thank you for saying that. I needed to hear all of this today, and it's truly just bringing my anxiety down. Thank you.
Oh, this is so much fun. I love it. Can we make it like 3 hours, Jenny? I'm just joking. Just joking. Okay, number 3. I get so caught up in the weeds or rocks. How do you keep the big picture in mind when dealing with all of the other pressing items that are necessary?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Is the person who asked this here? I'd love to ask a follow-up question.
That was me. I'm Sharon from Alabama. I'm actually a technology coordinator, so I'm coaching is like a third of my role, and then coordinating the other parts of it as well. So sometimes it ends up that the coaching becomes more of a backseat because people see me as, I think somebody else had written about how people see you as a tech helper, not a tech coach. I mean, you know, you get all the different roles, but I'm very, I have a hard time. Sometimes I lose that vision or the big picture.
So I think that, so you're talking about as a coach, just like seeing the forest, the trees, and trying to like balance all the balls you have in the air. It's challenging. I think there's a couple things that might be in play here. One is your caseload, right? So let me ask you, who determines your caseload of teachers you work with? Do you do it, or does an administrator determine that?
I'm very fortunate. I get to do it myself. I am stationed at one elementary school. There's one of us. We're in a small school district. There's one of us at every school. But what happens is when I'm talking to my friends that might have a couple of schools or whatever, they don't get into a lot of the, you know, carpool and lunch duty and, you know, other things that happen within the school that sometimes takes away my, you know, our energy.
So a couple things that that can help. So one is the lack of schema that a lot of colleagues have around what a coach is. So because coaches are actually a fairly fairly new in terms of like how prevalent they are in school systems, right? Like when I first began my career, there weren't a whole lot of instructional or technology coaches, and now we're seeing them a lot more. People aren't, you know, like, whereas a principal, everyone's like, I know what a principal does. When I was a kid, there was a principal. When I started my career, there's a principal. Like, I kind of know what a principal does, or a teacher. With a coach, they're like, what do you do exactly? And because people don't know what they do, all the extra that comes off of everyone else's plates tends to slide onto a coach's plate. Another thing that happens within a coach's world is your work is invisible. And what I mean by that is you're not sitting in an office all day, you know, taking students, you know, you're not like the dean of discipline. You're not a teacher who's like clearly standing with students or sitting small group with students. So it's hard for people to see what you're doing. And then a third thing is, especially if your title is technology coach, it's what you said and what's in the chat of people see technology and they immediately think like the Genius Bar at Apple, or, you know, the Geek Squad at Best Buy, where it's like, my printer's broken, so can you fix my printer? So something that I had to do as a coach, and my title was Digital Learning Coordinator, which is even more like, what does that mean? What do you like, you're coordinating digital learning? What is digital learning? They didn't even have the word coach in it. So I had to really sit down with my manager, who was the director of schools at the time. So whomever you report to, sit down and just say like, let's really almost create like a T-chart of like, what is my role and what isn't my role? And you create two versions of these, one for the administrative level, who can assign you things, and one for the teachers for whom you're supporting, because it's really two different sets of language. And then what you do is you look at your day and you chunk out your day of times that you need to be successful and create chunks of wellness time for yourself. And I'm not talking wellness like doing yoga or taking a nap, although that would be dope if you could do that. But like, sometimes you need clerical work time to just look at your roster of teachers and follow up on emails and do research for them, like self-professional learning, because you have to be the fount of all knowledge, digital learning, right? Another thing that you might want to carve out time for is, you know, like if they do determine, if your manager does determine you do have to do lunch duty, because every staff member who doesn't have a classroom, like the psychologist and the principal, everyone does lunch duty, then like carving that time out, and then blocking off the times that you're actually meeting with teachers and saying, all right, what's left of the day? 3.5 hours, great. Then you see how many teachers can you fit in that time based on how often you want to meet with them. So if you're thinking, I want to meet with every teacher once a week for at least 30 minutes, then you can like do some quick math and give yourselves time to walk, because remember, you're not a character in Star Trek. You can't beam yourself from building to building or classroom to classroom, like, and you don't want to be running from room to room, which was the mistake I made. I mean, the coaches get so many steps in a day, so that's amazing. But still, like, how do you get from place to place? So give yourself transition time. And then that's the caseload that you should have. So that's how I backwards map it. I start at a very, very high level, sort of like you would with in schools. Like in schools, you build a portrait of a graduate, right? Like this is what we want for our students when they graduate. Then you look at the standards, how do we get there? Then you look at your like course schedule, then you look at teacher, like, so start at the high, like what is the portrait of me as a coach? What is it? And what are my non-goals? What is not it? And then, and build that out again for who can be your boss and who you're serving, so above and below. And then build out chunks of time to make you successful. And then with what's the rest of the time, build out the teacher time, and then create a schedule that works for you.
Thank you. That sounds awesome.
It's so exciting. Okay. Thank you, Jenny and Sharon. Okay, number 4, how to meet the expectations of a coaching program which is already in place whilst at the same time integrating the steps of the Google coaching program. This is an interesting one. The goals are pretty much aligned in the same respects, but expectations about how we get there can be quite different. A great challenge to be working on, though.
I love this question. This is something we worked out a ton. When we were writing the model, this came up a lot. And the thing, so it was kind of the conversation that Amanda and I and the rest of our team had was like, how much of this car can we strip away and it still can be a car, right? Mm-hmm. So when we look at the certified coach program, there are parts of it that you could like pull away and it still maintains the integrity of the program. But what can you not strip away? And so I have my opinions about like the philosophy of the model. And then Amanda, I know you have some thoughts around like the structure of it, but I would say for me at its heart, the core of the program is making your relationship with your teacher that safe space. It's building the trust and leading with their problems. So whatever like the other logistics and constraints of the existing coaching program are, if they are non-negotiable, the thing that I would like really dig my feet in and draw my line in the sand is we have to allow the teachers to organically name their own challenges and allow my interaction with them be about their needs, not about something coming from higher up. It can't be, oh, well, we adopted Pearson Math this year, so the coaches are going to go around and just do Pearson Math training. Well, then I'm a trainer, not a coach. So I think and there's ways to kind of, feed both needs, where it's like, all right, well, I can like do a gripe jam around like math scenarios and unpack like what are their challenges around math, but I'm not going to sit down and be like, this is this part of the Pearson Math program and here's this one and like let's do training on this today. That's training, that's not coaching. Amanda, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I agree 100%, Jenny. Like the heart of the program is really about helping, teachers drive what they would like to improve, and you as the coach being the facilitator of that. And we try to talk about this a good amount in the curriculum, but really like the intent, for example, behind the 5-step coaching model is to really provide a structured but flexible way for you to have that rich and meaningful experience with your teacher. So one of the other common questions I've gotten is, our school has this acronym for coaching that feels a lot like the 5-step model, but our steps are not necessarily identify, investigate, select, implement, reflect. And in those cases, what I've said is like, if you feel like you are really meeting those, like doing those same types of things, but you're calling them something else, or, maybe implement it, like you reverse the order or something like that. That type of structure, we don't want to hold up participation in the program. Does that help? Or I don't know if the person is on, if there's like a specific question, but that like, we have a different acronym our school uses has come up a lot. So don't let the acronym stop you.
No, brilliant answers. And I think also your previous answer to the previous question also kind of helped me as well. So thank you. Brilliant.
Awesome.
Do you girls see all those smiles, Jenny and Amanda? How exciting is this, right?
I love it.
Okay. I'm just, also very excited, as y'all can see. Okay, number 5. Thanks so much. Number 5, how can I best transition to being seen as a tech helper to a tech coach? So that's interesting also, a little bit, touches a little bit on the acronyms, but it is important. So yeah, let you guys dive in.
Can the person who asked this question add a little bit more context to that? I think I understand, but I don't want to assume.
Right. So hello, that was me. Basically, this is my 3rd year going into the tech role for tech coaching, but I didn't really have a good grasp of it when I first started. So my first couple of years, it was just going in and doing, today we're doing a breakout game in so-and-so's room, and then I do something else in someone else's room. So I was just doing like one-off activities and not really coaching. And so now I'm trying to transition to more of that coaching role.
Oh my gosh, 100%. This model was built for you, Alex. So that was my world. So this was vignette of Jenny's life circa 2010. So I'd roll into a classroom. If the teacher was there, I'd be like, hey, Amanda, how's it going? She'd be like, cool. How are you? Great. How's life? Chit chat, small talk, small talk. So what do you want to talk about today? Oh, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Like, what are you working on? Blah, 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 blah. 45 minutes later, yeah, so there's this really cool new thing called Kahoot. Like, is that something I guess so. Yeah, I guess we could try Kahoot. Yeah, we could do Kahoot next week. Great. Okay. Rinse, wash, repeat. And every day that like, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to do? Felt a little bit like when my husband asks me what's for dinner, and then you have 45-minute conversation about it. And I just be like, oh my God, here we go again. The purpose of the coaching model is to create sustained longitudinal growth. So because it starts with a clear focused problem, then every single time I meet with Amanda, we're revisiting that problem, and there's a clear agenda and growth pattern. And so the way that the coaching model works is like, once Amanda says, my biggest challenge is pacing. I never get through a lesson. Every time I start a lesson, I get through like the bell ringer or like the first half of it, and then time's up in that class. So then like we might sit down and come up with I might say like, great, let me like go back and research all these different strategies around pacing. And I might come up with using a Google slide deck and putting a little YouTube video of a timer on the bottom of every slide deck. And so as I'm teaching the slide, I can see the timer going, and like, it might help me. The teacher tries it. Nope, it stressed out my kids. I hated it. The kids hated it. Great. I might take, like, we might chunk the lesson into small Google Classroom. We might try flipped classroom so the lecture happens ahead of time. So we'll try all these things, but it's always with this essential question of, I'm having a challenge with pacing. And we're always measuring and calibrating, are we getting closer to the end goal of, are we improving this challenge of pacing? And if you take it with an athletic coach perspective, that's how coaching works in general. So when I played lacrosse, I had a really hard time with my cradle. So like, in lacrosse, you have your stick, you're trying to keep your ball on your stick and you're trying to run at the same time. It's a lot of things. And I was always struggling with my cradle as I'm running down the field, and I'd always drop it, and I was a hot mess. So I would go to all of these clinics and we try all of these different techniques where, like, can I run drills and not have the ball fall out of my little netty stick dude? And that was, and we try all these different things, but the end goal was like, can Jenny improve her cradle strategy? And over time I got it, and I was able to like be put in the game coach, and I was doing great. But it was always a clear focus. Every time I came to practice, I was like, I'm working on my cradle. I'm working on my cradle. I'm working on my cradle. So just in that same way as you're professionally coaching these, your colleagues, identify that concrete measurable skill that you're trying to address, and have that be your through line through that cycle. And that's how you move from a helper, which is that episodic, I'm here for whatever you need today, to I'm doing long-term progress measured growth.
Can I ask a follow-up really quickly? Yeah. So, because I love this, and to me, it totally makes sense, but like, I feel like there's a piece missing for me, because I still keep getting caught up in that, help me with this, or stuck on the tool type of thing. Do you have a good question, or how do you lead that conversation to finally get them to realize it's more than this one-time thing? Because as much as I want to sit there and be like, no, we need to go deeper, I also don't.
No, Becky, is your name Becky?
Yes, sorry, I'm in a calendar so I can let everyone in.
Can we role play? Will you play with me? I
would love to.
Okay. Yes. So you be the teacher, embody him or her in your mind.
Okay.
All right. And I sat down with you, and so kind of like pretend I asked, so hey Becky, so I have your gripe jam here, and I see that you want to work on what is it that this teacher might put in that's tool-based or a little bit lower level?
Getting my students to come to my meets and be engaged.
Okay, so I see you're having a hard time with getting kids on Meet and being engaged. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I mean, they just don't really show up. They have the technology. We're 100% virtual. They have the technology. They're not showing up, or like when they're there, they're in first grade, so they're just kind of playing around. And I'm trying to play games with them, but I don't know that they're getting anything from this.
And why is that frustrating for you?
Honestly, it's a waste of time. Like, everything with this technology is a waste of time. I don't get it. All I know how to do is turn on the Meet. I'm trying to present. The technology keeps breaking. It's frustrating for the kids. It's frustrating for me and the parents. So
I hear you. You're right. It is super frustrating. And I wish right now I'm talking to you over virtual. I would love to be sitting down with a cup of coffee with you and like having a latte. So I feel that. You're totally right. Let me ask, let's pretend I'm a magic fairy. I have my magic wand right here, and poof, I made all the technology go away, and poof, we can be face to face again, and poof, I cured coronavirus. So like, basically I'm winning a Nobel Prize here, right? Mm-hmm. So if in this magical, perfect world, how would you want to interact with your students, and what would you want to be happening when you're teaching them?
I would want to bring back my small groups, and I would want to meet with them at their level, and they're in first grade, so I want to get up and move with them. I don't want us just sitting the whole time and being on a computer for hours on end. We would be at a table together. We would get up and move. We would go outside. We would do games.
I love games. And that's the class I want. I don't want to sit in front of a computer all day. You're right. I'm going to ask you, Becky, will you give me a chance to see if I can make grant your magic wish? Can I take a week and think about this and come back with some ideas? If I could tell you that I could find a way for you to meet in small groups, move around with your students, like go outside with them, like do some of these things that you want to do, even in the midst of coronavirus with technology. Would you be willing to try that with me?
Absolutely. I just want it to be better for my kids and for me. So yes, please.
I see that. All right, give me a week. I'm going to go and noodle on it. And then I'm going to come back and get some feedback on some ideas. I'd love your feedback on these ideas that I'm going to come up with, because some of them might not be right for you, but I want to, if you give me a chance, I'd love to try. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. And scene.
Oh, I like that too. So basically you're not forcing a full hour or full 30 minutes of we have to sit here and dwell on this.
Nope.
Okay.
And then a couple things I want to call out that was intentional. I asked for permission. So I wasn't like, I'm going to solve this for you. So I was like, is it okay? And I empowered you to be the boss in the situation. So I said, can I have your permission to try this? And in that case, like sometimes I have had people say no before. Like I've had really vigorous teachers who are just like, no. And I'm like, okay. So like, what can't, and then like, I'm like, all right, well, let me go back and think about it. We'll come back next week. And like that, at that point, it might mean like, I need to phone a friend and get some ideas. But 99% of my teachers are like, yeah, I mean, sure. No one's asked me for permission if they can help me. Okay. 2, naming and owning that my solutions might not be right for you. Because then it's showing that I don't have this level of hubris or arrogance that I know better than you. And it's allowing you to be the expert of your own domain. So I'm saying some of these solutions might not be right for you because you know your class best. So I'd love your feedback. So I asked you permission first to help. Then I made you the expert of your own classroom by saying, when I bring these to you, they might not be right because you know your classroom best. And I'd love your feedback on these. So then it kind of reduces your defensiveness and I have more power in the situation. And then what I did at the beginning with the magic wand was really understanding, like, because right now it's technology blaming. So you're always going to blame the tech for what's not right. So by removing the tech with this hypothetical magic wand situation, I get at like, what is the actual problem here? And it's small groups. So like, I'm sure all these like super techie digital learning geniuses, yourself included on this call, can come up with a ton of ideas for what that teacher just said. Small groups, great. Like, let's just have 2 or 3 kids come to the meet at a time. Want to go outside? I can take my phone and do one where, like, maybe I can't control where the kids are, but I can go outside with my students and show them nature. Get up and move. Great. Let's do a meet call where we're all like dancing together. Let's put on some Casper baby pants and run, baby, run. Like, we can do a lot of these things with our students that you are the creative font for that teacher. But if you just bring those to her in the meeting, she's gonna be like, no, I'm still like in this headspace, but let her like take a week to like synthesize that and then come back and approach her in another way. So it's okay to like stretch that out.
Thank you. I think I needed this role play. I needed to actually see it in action because I had teachers in mind as I was going through my thoughts in the calls I've been on. Okay, that really helps. And it is technology blaming a lot of the time, even in the classroom, or just finding anything else to blame but what the real problem is. So thank you very much. This helped a lot.
Yeah.
I love the role play. I think we should do more of it. Are you coming back for round 2, Jenny?
I don't know if Amanda told you about this, but fun fact, when we were originally piloting Certified Coach, we used to do like a week-long a summer institute with people in 3D when we were just testing to see if this even worked. And one of the most fun parts where we did role play. Amanda, what was your character? Do you remember?
Oh man, I played a couple. At one point I got to be like the super difficult teacher, which was like the most fun because I just got to like project all of my anxiety and attitude. That was a particularly fun one.
Yeah, I love role play so much.
We should see, Jenny. I wonder if we could dig some of that up and share with this group, just some of the personas that we use. They were, first of all, it was super fun. Like at some points there were like wigs involved. But I think a lot of the coaches said, just getting to talk it out in like a safe space was super helpful.
The other thing that we did too, Georgina, if you want to emulate this, is we did it fishbowl style. So we had 2 brave souls, they kind of like drew the personas. And then everyone would take notes, but then they'd ask questions of the coach, and it was like a really like no judgment area. It was like, so like after I just did this, people would ask me like, hey, Jenny, I saw you say this, I wonder, you know, and you have to use protocols. Like, I wonder if like that might have fallen differently with this kind of person, or I wonder if this other thing might have worked. And it not only helps the person in the hot seat, but it's like meant for the good of the group to be like, like let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing lots of head nods, Jenny. Shannon, you're big on my screen right now, so I saw the enthusiastic nodding from you.
Oh wait, look, Jared's here. Jared was one.
Jared!
And
I finally made it.
yeah, he was one of our pilot coaches, and we were just talking about the role play we did at Summer Institute. Jared, what was it like to go through that?
That was a lot of fun. I learned so much from that role play.
I love that you have your DLP like thing in the back, by the way. You're like warming my heart right now. So for those who don't know, the Dynamic Learning Project was the original, one of the many original names of our pilot. So, I love it. Thanks for the pride, Jared. You're making my heart warm today.
Well, yeah, my principal asked if he should take down the sign, and I said, no, don't do it. And so he's like, good, I won't.
Awesome. Georgina, I'm conscious of time. Are we making you run late?
No, I was just going to say, I'm sure you and Jenny as Googlers probably have to go. If you have extra time, we'd love to keep going. And if anybody needs to drop out, they can, and we can record. If you need to go, then that's cool, and we can stop. You let us know if you're free or not.
I've got like 10 more minutes. Jenny, what do you have on your end? You have another meeting?
I got a boogie. I have to run to another meeting, but I am stoked to have spent this hour with everyone here, with you lovely people. And I, like Amanda said, this is I feel like my face hurts from smiling. So I love it. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing for your colleagues and for students and schools. And thank you so much for reading my book. And I just feel like, you know, so when you're writing something like that, you're like, gosh, is anyone ever going to read it? So it just warms my heart to know that people are reading it.
I love it.
Jenny, we are so grateful for you to come. And I think everybody would like to say that, really. I think I speak for everybody. And you have to go, yeah, hearts for Jenny. Woo!
Thank you all. Take care.
Have a great day, Jenny.
Bye.
Bye, love.
Amanda, if you have an extra few minutes and you want to hang out, I know you would like to give some really important and inspiring messages to the people on the call today. Would you like to take some time to do that?
I will. Oh man, Jenny's such a tough box to follow, but I'll do my very best. And we certainly have them, the personas that we use for the role plays, and share those with you guys. So Georgina, I feel like we keep coming in and commandeering your lovely like book study protocol with more ideas, but you always run with it beautifully. So Becky and Georgina are like, no, send them. I'm not bothering you. Great. Okay.
And
Great.
Amanda, I don't want to interrupt you, but just so you know, we also have our monthly meets where we're not doing book study stuff. So we can always add it there.
Awesome. Yeah. Like Jared can maybe tell you his favorite persona that he might remember, but it was really, really fun. So yeah. And then like to that end, truly like the part of my job that I love the most is that I get to like see and meet all of you and then figure out what other resources that we can bring to the table that would be helpful. So I was saying to Georgina that while I have your attention, what I wanted to let you know is we have 3 new things that we just released last week that are for this group. So the first thing is a professional development weekly series that's all about coaching. So you guys might have seen that there was like a big email that I sent yesterday to everyone who has already started the curriculum. But the moral of the story is that we work with a number of professional development organizations that are kind of like our other experts in coaching. And so Forward Edge is the name of one of those organizations. Katie Ritter is over there. She's wonderful. She has been an instructional coach for a long time. She actually just got her certified coach certification. I told her to join this group, actually, Becky, so you might see her come through. But anyway, so her group is putting together a weekly professional development series. And the idea is that you sign up and it's 6 different topics, starting with like the remote coach, like how the heck do we now shift everything that we were already doing and learning about to be remote? And then also does like your tried and true types of questions and strategies, like how do I build relationships with all sorts of different teachers? And so hopefully you guys will be excited about that. It's meant to be for those of you who are aspiring quote unquote certified coaches. And then as part of those sessions, we'll also do kind of like a tips and tricks section on just like putting together a really strong application so that you guys don't have to worry about that part. Although you have Georgina and Becky and all these others, so I'm not worried about that side of the house. So that's that. And then Georgina has up now our brand new study guide, which is the second resource. And this is, if I could use an analogy, like if you were the like TA of a university course and you wanted like the assistant's guide to, you know, the book or the curriculum, this is that. So it's intended to really provide you with different exercises and activities that you can use while going through the curriculum, and a bit of a sample structure as well for those of you who are going to be working with perhaps even other coaches in your schools and want to kind of get another cohort going. This is a great guide for that. And I will say this is brand new. So I'm always open to feedback. Jenny and others can tell you, like, I am a big fan of all the analogies related to like transportation moving while you're, or being built while you're moving. So like cars, planes, all the things. So please let us know what you think. But again, just trying to kind of remove as much friction as possible in you as a coach understanding the curriculum, and then also you as a facilitator being able to share this with others, since I know coaches know coaches, right? So, and then the last piece is that we're also going to do a Twitter chat. Well, really, Becky and Georgina and co are going to do a Twitter chat. So I can let them tell you more about that. But the idea is, again, just to provide another forum for coaches to get to talk with each other about all the topics that are on our minds. So those are all the things. That's at least what we've got cooking in the next couple weeks. So pretty busy over here.
The pot is full. It is boiling. It is so exciting. And my analogies are horrible. Becky, save me. Jared, save me. Come on. Anybody. Okay.
I just want to see where this goes. I'm loving it.
I love it. Oh, awesome. And Georgina, you put the, I was going to say, I need to go find the form for you guys for the professional development series for coaches, but you guys, you found it, you put it in here. Perfect. Yes. Building relationships, remote coach, goal alignment. I love this one, tech coach confessions, which is sort of like a reflection opportunity. So the idea would be to try to get a couple more of those on the calendar as we go, but hopefully those sessions will be, keep you busy. Oh, and I see a question on the study guide. Georgina, do you want to put that in the chat, or do you want me to find it?
Looks like she's on it.
She's on it. Awesome.
I was muted. I was struggling to like copy link and then mute to say I'm on it.
So many buttons these days. I get it. And thank you guys. Truly, it is like, as Jenny, I think, hopefully said, and I will just reiterate, like when we set forth to like bring this program to the world, it was exactly to like help those that we already believe are doing like heroic work with teachers, and try to give you guys more structure and more love and more resources. So it's we're like, we built it and they're here. Like, you just never know. So thank you for being here.
I want to say thank you so much for creating it. I know Becky wants to say something though. Becky, go ahead.
No, you can go. I was just I wanted to make sure I said I'm kind of putting this on the side, or doing this on the side. Our next slow chat, I'm going to put that in the chat, the link to our next slow chat. Georgina and Shannon already put the slides together, and I'll share, Shannon put those, thank you. So I will share that out, but I'll also add it in here.
We are so excited, and Georgina's love cup is full and overflowing. And so thank you to everybody who joined Amanda and Jenny's special occasion, and to all of you. You inspire me every time. And in fact, I'm so inspired by the role play of Becky and Jenny that I'm thinking now, guys, maybe we should do role play breakouts at our next EC Open Chat, like 20 minutes breakout with a buddy and role play coaching. What do you guys think? Oh,
I love it. We are focused on data at our next one. But I think we can make it work where we do we can either push it off to the following, or, add that as a part of it. Sorry, I get really stuck on my schedule. I've got to learn to let loose on it.
No, that's good. It's really good. No, we can push it. We have lots of good ideas, so there's loads to flow with. It's very exciting. Jared came late. Jared, did you want to say anything? Because we want to hear from you. You're probably the most experienced coach in the session.
I don't I don't know. My brain is so fried right now that I haven't even gotten to chapter 6 to reread it.
Oh, it wasn't for the book study. It was just to share your super sparkling heroic, that's the word I was looking for, heroic self.
Well, I know, just as the coach in the building and trying to kind of be that beacon of positivity, which is why I got my incredible shirt on and my cape on, flying around the building, taking care of issues that involve Google Classroom all the way to my sound doesn't work. And just trying to be that positivity, trying to also put the bug in their ear about coaching. I don't think I'll start true coaching cycles for probably another week or so, but just trying to keep everybody positive and excite the kids. We have our B cohort kids here today, so they go for 2 days this week, and so just getting them excited, getting them their devices, and it's just exciting, but also my brain seems like it's fried at the moment because I feel like it's Groundhog's Day because I just did all this on Monday. But I'm excited. Hey, role playing, I love role playing, and I don't remember what Amanda played during the DLP stuff, but I remember D. Lanier was one of the tough cookies to break in those role play meetings, a role play event. So that's what I remember from that. But I like role playing, so that's fun if we can fit that in.
We'll definitely fit it in there eventually. I know Amanda has to go, and we lost a lot of people, so I'm just conscientious of time also. But I did want to thank everybody who's on the call who participated. We had 4 really, just simple, easy questions to dive into chapter 6 this week because we wanted to give a lot more time. So thank you to those who participated. Guys, if you have time later, read them. There are some super inspiring ideas in here. And so thank you to everybody who shared on the slide deck. And if you're watching this recording after, then please feel free. There's other slides, and you guys know from other chapters that you can duplicate the slide and share as much as you can because sharing is caring. You can drop your resources there if you'd like. And as always, please let us know if there's anything else that you'd like to discuss or share in future book studies. And next week is really exciting. Next chapter book study that Becky's going to drop for us is all about assessment. I'm so excited. And Shannon stayed up super late, and me at the crack of dawn, I think, to come up with our questions. There we go. Becky has dropped it. So we are going to try and get ahead and make sure y'all have the slide deck with a good 2 weeks to dig into. So thank you so much for taking the time in this crazy busy time of the school year to join us and be part of this amazing session with Becky and Amanda and Jenny and Jared and Shannon and everybody. So we appreciate all of you. Thank you for being superstars, and we will see you. Wait, when is the next date? Let me go down. Where is the next date?
The next date
September
is
16th.
Yep. Can I share one last thing? I don't want to, did you share everything, Georgina?
I just wanted to say on the time, Becky, if it's okay, maybe we can poll everybody and we can choose a different time on that day. And so maybe if I did this slot at the beginning of the month and then Shannon rolled with the middle of the month, and then we can try and include everybody. What do you guys think? Is that okay?
I'll send out a poll. I'll send out too and kind of see if it's what we want to do. I'm totally for that. Cool. I'll send that to the chat. I just want to say thank you all so much for joining this group. Seriously, I'm loving every bit of it. Thank you, Amanda, for joining. And because we are at a time of complete stress, honestly, if anyone's sitting on this call saying I'm not stressed at all, please let me come to your world. So share your positives in life. And because I love you all so much and you're like family, even though most of you just get my emails, please respond in the chat, and I want to share some exciting news in my personal life to hopefully bring you all joy. I got engaged last week, so I'm super excited. Find joy in the little moments, find that personal time, enjoy all of this, and please share your positives with us because honestly, reading personal positives brings me joy. Right now, work is hard. So thank you all. And I love you all. Thank you all for joining, and thank you, Amanda. And now I'm getting teary-eyed because I don't know why, but I'm just
I'm
loving
like,
this
you
show.
just like literally dropped the mic, or like maybe like threw it out the window, actually. Oh, congratulations, Becky. We're so happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was middle of the workday too. So what a time to get engaged. I was like, okay, I've got 20 minutes now. I've got to jump on the next call.
Oh my goodness.
But thank you, and do share your positives in life. I do like that. Other than that, have a fabulous work week. And we're off. I'm going to stop recording now. And Amanda, did you want to say goodbye? I feel like I totally did do like a mic drop and didn't give you a chance.
I can't follow that up. So hi, bye. I will be around. Don't be a stranger. But really, you guys are the best. You've made my day.
Awesome.
You've made our day. This is great.